I want to show you the story of a man named Bill Butters. Bill grew up playing hockey for White Bear Lake High School. He was recruited by Herb Brooks, the legendary hockey coach who coached the U.S. to the 1980 Olympic gold medal. He went on to play professional hockey. He was gaining the whole world. Take a look at his story.
My role in hockey was to protect the good players. My job was to drop my gloves and hit people, and I must have been in about 100 fights, and my reputation was a tough, rugged, aggressive person, even mean-spirited, and that's what other people thought of me. And I remember the words I heard Brooks. He said, "Right now, Billy, you're a character. I hope someday you'll have character." I grew up in White Bear Lake in the 50s, and my mom and dad split up when I was 4 years old. And not having a father figure in my life, the sports team, the coaches that I had, kind of became my salvation. I felt accepted there. I felt like I was wanted. Baseball was my first love, and I was just kind of a throw-in on hockey. I wasn't a good skater, I wasn't a good shooter, passer, but my buddy said, "You're good in football and you know how to hit people, and you can probably do okay in hockey." So lo and behold, I made the high school hockey team when I was a sophomore, played in the state tournament, was an all-conference player as a junior and senior, and went to the University of Minnesota for 4 years, and then I played 7 years of professional hockey. For 11 years, playing college hockey and playing pro hockey, it was exciting for me. You're playing a sport, you're getting your college education paid for, and then you become a pro, you get a paycheck for playing a game. You practice an hour and a half a day, you go play golf, you get to do all kinds of stuff. It affords you a lifestyle that is unbelievable. I got to play with Gordie Howe, Bobby Hull, some of the greatest names in hockey. It was really a dream come true. It was, something that a lot of people just wish they could do. Play pro sports, get a paycheck. I had everything that a hockey fan would want, but I lost my soul. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what pro athletes do with their money and their time off and that, and I was spending a lot of time away from my family. When you don't have a standard to live by, anything goes. So I thought my lifestyle was great, but everything I was doing was wrong. And the only good thing in my life was my wife and my children, and I didn't even know that.
Watch the puck. Here comes the pass. Snap it. There you go.
I grew up in that era where I was paid money to play outside the rules. And I didn't know it at the time, but it transcended into my personal life. I played outside the rules of a marriage. I wasn't a good husband, and I wasn't a good dad. I had 3 beautiful children and a beautiful wife. But the bad thing about me was I was a good liar. So no one in my family knew the double life I was living, but I just did things that aren't conducive to a good marriage. In 1980, my career was coming to an end, and my teammate with the Minnesota North Stars saw that. He invited me to a hockey camp. It was a Christian hockey camp. I didn't want to go, but I knew my life was falling apart, so I went reluctantly. When I went to the camp, I saw things I never saw in the hockey rink. Kids were reading Bibles, they were singing songs about Jesus. It was unbelievable, something that I'd never seen in my life. After these boys were hounding me for 3 days to participate in the Christian stuff, I finally gave in and went to a chapel. I heard a song about Jesus. I heard a message about salvation, about God wanting to come into my life. And then these same boys invited me to their group that night, and they prayed for me. They told me that Jesus was the toughest guy that lived, and that I could have him as my Lord and Savior. And I got down on my knees, and those boys put their hands on me and prayed with me a prayer of salvation. I couldn't wait to get home to tell my wife what happened. So I go home and I said, Debbie, I got some great news. I invited Jesus in my life and he's my Lord and Savior. And I'm so excited. And she was excited for me. I said, that's a good news. Here's the bad news. I've been unfaithful for 7 years. And she kind of pulled back. I said, I'm a drunk. I spent our money unwisely. And she started to cry, and then she started to cry harder, and I tried to comfort her, and she pushed me away. It seemed like for a couple hours, I don't know how long it was, but soon she got composed and reached out her hands, and I put my hands in hers, and she looked me in the eye. And she said the same thing that Jesus said to me. She said, I forgive you. And let's build our marriage on our faith in Jesus. And she put skin on Jesus for me that day. She took that blow and she said, I forgive you. And it took a long time for me to gain her trust and her respect, but we stayed in our marriage. And shortly thereafter, we started going to church, and we've been coming to Eagle Brook now since 1980. You see, 1980 in hockey is a big name. That's Miracle on Ice. Herb Brooks, my old coach, took his team. They won the gold medal, but the miracle on ice in my life happened at that hockey camp when those little boys had enough courage to share the love of Jesus with me.